If you have purchased the Boyum B1 Visibility package, you have access to the Toolbox module. The Toolbox is a series of smaller functionalities where each of these features can be turned on and off at will. We will be reviewing the Toolbox, Documents, and Banking tabs. We'll navigate to Administration, Add-ons, B1 Visibility Package, Module Configuration, Toolbox Configuration. We will review the Documents and Banking configuration, starting with Documents. In the first option is Use Line Search. By having this checked, this allows line search of all sales and purchasing documents. In these documents, if they are item type, you are able to search for item code or item name, item BP catalog number. If it is service type, it would be just a description. By selecting and clicking on Update, and for example by opening a sales AR order, we'll be able to see that now we have a search line function. Here, if we were to say rainbow and click on search, the system will tell us where in the particular row that word exists. It is also possible to search in the pick list, pick and pack manager, bill of materials, production order, goods receipt, goods issue, inventory transfer request, inventory counting, and special prices for business partners windows. As default, line search is applied to all predefined forms. If you rather have only on certain forms, you can always customize it. By going back to the Toolbox configuration and clicking on the ellipses, you will see a list of all documents that the search line is capable of searching. You can also decide to add additional columns to search in telling the IDs of the different columns you want to search. To define the additional columns to search in, you need to write a comma-separated string containing the column's IDs of the search column. If no search column is defined, then the default columns are used. On documents, you can only add additional search columns for item lines, and you cannot add additional search columns for the pick and pack manager. As an example, we'll take a look into a sales order and see how we can further search on it. By clicking the sales order document and reviewing our last document, we can see that one of the columns that we have is the free text column. There, we have on row number 1 the word gift. By right-clicking on the column, we are able to see that the system information column UID is 163. By returning to our selection, we'll type in 163 and click OK, and we'll return to our Toolbox configuration and click on Update. As we return to the sales order and we type in gift and we click on search, now the system is also including the free text column for searching. Next, we have Use Line Search on UDO. As previously mentioned, the Use Line Search is used on default SAP fields. In the case that you have created or customized your own table and/or own menu, the feature allows line search on all user-defined objects that were created using the SAP Object Registration Wizard. For this feature to work, you will need to have turned on normal line search as well. Line search on UDOs work by searching in all columns and will always search in the shown matrix. Next, we have Enter for last line or Control Enter for adding. This was designed to try to address one of the first mistakes new users make when coming into SAP Business One, and that is using Enter as the next line. As we open a sales order, for example, and we are adding a new sales order for MaxiTech, if I press Enter, the system wants to already directly enter said sales order into the system. The new user believes that pressing Enter, it will go to the next line. By having this checked and clicking on Update, what will happen is once I click Enter, it will go to the next line. We'll do the same process, adding a sales order for MaxiTech, and as I press Enter, we go now to the item number. By clicking on the item number and clicking Enter, it goes to the next line, and so forth. Now, if I press Ctrl and Enter, now the system has added the new sales order to the system. As a reminder, for 9.3, SAP Business One developed a system-wide under System Initialization in General Settings, a setting that actually uses the numeric keypad Enter as a tab key. If you have this checkmarked, you should not use Boyum functionality, as they both try to control what the Enter key does on a document screen. Next, we have Open Items, Update button. The Open Items list is a great way to keep track of what is still open. For example, by selecting Sales Reports and clicking on the Opens Items list, you have a way to see all open documents in all of the available documents from the drop-down list. One of the downfalls of this particular window is the inability to update the information. You are able to update the information by closing and reopening again, but Boyum gives you an alternative. By having that checked and clicking on Update, now that we are going to open the items list, Boyum gives us an Update button. By clicking the Update button, you are now able to refresh the screen without having to leave said screen. Next, we have Start a Name field. As seen previously under the Business Partner and Items tab, the Start a Name field changed the ability for you to go directly into the BP name instead of the BP code on a document. For example, if we go to Sales Order, you can see that the Sales Order first field that the system is requiring information is the BP code. By clicking on the Start a Name field and clicking on Update, if we open the same sales order this time around, it goes directly into the name. Next, we have the Use Opening and Closing Remarks icon. This option is to enable showing a small icon if one of your purchasing or sales documents contain an opening or closing remark. If we were to open the sales order and run to our last record, we are able to see the opening and closing remarks by right-clicking in the document. By clicking on Opening and Closing Remarks, we see that opening remarks are normally used for internal information. The closing remarks are normally used for external remarks. If we are to select an update on the Boyum Toolbox configuration and return to our sales order, our last record, we now see an icon, and by clicking on it, you'll be able to open the opening and closing remarks directly. Next, we have the usage of flags. This activates a visual representation of the country of associated business partner. This gives you a quick way to identify the nationality. Flags will be displayed in the following document types: all sales documents, all purchasing documents, sales opportunities, and service calls. For example, if we click on Update and now open a sales order and select a business partner, in this case, for example, MaxiTac, you'll see that the American flag shows up. If we were to change from such country, such as SG Electronics, we see the Canadian flag. And lastly, if we were to change it to Star Company, you'll see the Slovakian flag. If for some reason you do not know the name of the particular flag, double-click on the flag and at the bottom of the window, the name will appear. The next two functions, Go to New Sales Documents and Go to New Purchase Documents, work similarly to what we have seen in the Business Partner Go to New function. This time around is related to sales documents, which can include sales quotation, order, delivery, requests, AR documents, and AR down payments. Regarding the purchase documents, they are connected to the purchase quotation, purchase orders, goods receipt, goods return, AP invoice, credit memo, and also down payments. The difference is that for version 10, patch level 1, SAP included this as a regular feature of SAP. So in the example of a sales document, for example, the sales order, whenever we are adding a document in the system, SAP now provides us the ability to either add and create a new document, add and view the document that was just added, or add and close the window. If you have SAP 10 and above, do not turn on the feature in Boyum. If you have a previous version of SAP, you'll be able to do the same by checking the available option. Next, we have the delete drafts when used. This feature automatically deletes the drafts when they're used. The feature has two settings. Prompt, which will prompt a window asking if you want to delete the draft, yes or no, and Always, which will always delete the draft when they are used. For our example, we'll be using the prompt option. Under the sales order, we'll be adding an order for MaxiTac related to a motherboard. By right-clicking and saving it as a draft, we'll be able to bring up this draft at the appropriate time and add the sales order to the system. By having sales AR and sales orders checked, we'll be opening our last draft document. We will be adding a delivery date, and when we click on Add and View, the system message populates. Would you like to have the draft deleted after adding the document? I will click Yes. And our last option is the Use Journal Remark system. The Journal Remark system allows you to override the default naming convention of the journal remarks for sales and purchasing documents. We do not recommend changing this as it is a system default. This should only be used by advanced users. Next, we'll be looking at the Banking tab. In the Banking tab, we'll be looking at how Boyum can help us in the incoming payment and outgoing payment related to the payment means. If we take a look at banking and incoming payments, for example, we'll be able to see that for MaxiTac that is paying us, we are able to click on the payment means and no particular bank transfer GL account is defaulted. Boyum can help us with that. The same can be said for the outgoing payment, where the cash account is not defaulted. In this case, we'll be able to say that the payment means configuration for the incoming payment will be transfers and it should show the specific cash at bank checking account. By selecting Update, we'll be able to have that information showing up next. If we were to click now, we have the same account now available to us by default. A second item that Boyum can help us with is related to the incoming payment values. If we were to select incoming payment and we were to go to payment means, by having the Boyum checked related to the automatic transfer sum, the value that was selected already comes in by default. Normally this is done by clicking on Ctrl and B to bring in the balance. But with this Use the Automatic Transfer Sum, the value selected automatically comes in. Please be mindful that not always the full amount is being paid and therefore needs to be reviewed and corrected if needed. Let's take a look at the outgoing payment next. We'll navigate to Banking, Outgoing Payments, and select Outgoing Payments. And here we're going to select, for example, LaserCom. We'll select one of the invoices and click on the payment means. Here we can see that for the Cash tab, we have now the defaulted selected cash account for the Cash tab GL account. As we've seen on the incoming payment, we also have selected the Use Automatic Transfer Sum, which will select and bring in the information related to our selection from the available selected invoices. Lastly, if you were to add a specific document for the outgoing or incoming payment, what you're also able to do is change in order to bring in the business partner code, but instead bring in the name field first. So by clicking on outgoing payments, now the name information is being requested rather than the business partner code. This concludes the Toolbox configuration for the Documents and Banking tabs. The Boyum Toolbox Documents and Banking configuration that is part of Boyum Usability package is great for enhancing the usability of SAP Business One by allowing flexibility by user settings. Join us as we help you learn more about what SAP Business One has to offer by clicking the subscribe button, and don't forget to turn on the notifications bell so you never miss a new video. As an SAP Gold partner, LBSi can help you take full advantage of everything the system has to offer. To get in contact with us, visit our website at www.lbsi.com and navigate to the contact link. You can also email us at sales@lbsi.com for sales-related inquiries or sapsupport@lbsi.com if you're an existing client in need of support assistance.